Hey everybody, you're listening to Raw with Marty Gallagher, JP Brice, and Jim Steele on ICTV. Today we're discussing the importance of passion. For me personally, when I talk about passion, it's usually relating to fitness, which includes my training, or my company, Iron Company. I'm passionate about fitness, about as passionate about fitness as maybe a scientist might be about curing people of cancer, or as a first responder might be about helping their community become safer. To me, passion is the difference between just being good and becoming the best at what we do. So I'm very fortunate in that I've had the opportunity to turn my passion into a living, which has allowed me to employ others that share the same passion in life for fitness. So guys, all of us here are passionate about fitness. Specifically weightlifting. What I want to talk about is how and when did our passion for fitness begin? What was the spark? Marty, you want to start?
No, let Jimmy lead. I want to
Well, I
hear
think, well, let's decide what we mean by passion. Do you mean something that you it's sort of your life's work, or do you mean something that you love so much that you can't live without?
I mean something you can't live without.
Hey,
Like for
Jimmy, you know what he means?
What?
Dogs,
Dogs. That's right.
right?
well, or
I'm
food.
seriously,
Right.
the way you feel about dogs.
And
Right.
you'll put up with almost anything just to have it, right?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
but
right.
today, I mean, for
That's
me,
passion. I'm serious. That
yeah,
is
that
passion.
you can
Yeah.
have multiple passions, but let's
That's
talk
right.
about weightlifting. How did we get passionate
Yeah.
about weightlifting and iron and lifting heavy things?
For myself, it was two ways. Number one, it was for football.
Yep.
And my father used to drop me off at the University of Maryland football weight room, and I'd watch the guys lift.
Oh, fabulous.
And then the other one was I got it.
How old were you?
Oh man, seventh, eighth grade. Seventh or eighth grade.
12
What's
years
that?
old.
14, 13.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I got a copy of Education of a Bodybuilder, and I was like, by Arnold, and I was like, why wouldn't anyone going to be strong and look like this? I think it's the coolest thing ever. I couldn't believe. I started thinking, why aren't all men looking like this? And how do you get like that? So it was to be stronger for football, no question. And then it was also the bodybuilding stuff with Arnold and those guys. I don't know why. I don't really know how it developed, but I do know that it became at some point a need for me with training more than a want, which I define as like a need is something, even if you don't want to fucking do it that day, you're going to do it anyway because it's your passion in life.
Mm-hmm.
Where a want is like, something that you really like to do. It's enjoyable, but it's not something that you'll, crawl on glass to get to.
It's a hobby.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, I go anyway, man. I was, you just go, because it's something that is such a huge. Like if you think about it, how much of your life is spent thinking, reading about, or doing the weight training stuff, and it's all encompassing in our lives.
There was a great poster of Arnold and Franco, and they're sitting on a couch, and they're dressed in those crazy street clothes from the 70s.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like they had on polyester shirts that had like orange amoebas on them. Right?
Yeah.
And I think Arnold had on orange pants, right, with some kind of crazy shoes, and Franco's like in some sort of super tight dress shirt, and they're sitting there and they're just staring off into space, and the caption underneath is, what do you do on your off day? Think about training.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
that's right.
I've seen that on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
Well, yeah,
That's true because with weightlifting, I know when I got involved in it, I mean, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And that's what I mean by passion. This thing gripped me. It just surrounded me.
But you got to go deep. You got to go deeper. Why?
Well, so let me go into my thing. So, I was born in '71, and as you know, The Incredible Hulk started airing in 1977.
Okay.
And I started watching that, and I don't think I saw any bodybuilders or anything up to that date. When Lou Ferrigno came out twice a show, and I would watch it just for that, I was just out of my mind. I was like, where is this guy from? How did he do this? This is what I want. This is what I want to do. I just have to do this now.
You know who else was hugely influenced by
I
that?
do, Mr. Kurt Kowalski.
That's
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
He said, Kirk gets teary-eyed when he remembers the Hulk period.
So Ferrigno would come out, throw some shit around, do some most muscular.
He went, and that affected me. I said, I gotta get strong and throw shit around just like that. I mean, if he could do it, I could do it.
But what he had, what that blew everybody's mind, was he was the first supersized bodybuilder that people got to see for a protracted period of time. He did a significant amount of screen time. I think at that time he was probably weighing close to 300.
He's a big boy.
Tall.
Yeah, because he's 6'5". Yeah.
Yeah, and
he
they didn't want him cut. They wanted him big, so he got right at that 10% body fat percentile, and he was thick.
Yeah.
No, so I was very impressed by that. So that kind of started it off. My grandfather always went to the gym.
So you were inspired.
I was inspired by that big time because
you wanted that.
Well, I wanted that. I thought, guy's got just this crazy physique, and just like Jim said, why? I think every guy should look like that. That's how you think at that age. But when the show aired, I was 6 years old. So you're very impressionable at that age, young boy growing up. The other thing, I think the biggest thing that I can attribute my passion for fitness was, I think this is where I really differ from you guys is, I moved from California to Maryland in 8th grade. And so I was the new kid on the block. I had a lot of family there, but I didn't know anybody at school. And I got bullied just to a level you wouldn't believe. And it's...
oh, yeah. Well, Maryland guys are like that.
Yeah. This is why we're doing this podcast. JP wanted to tell this story right here, Marty.
Yeah. No, but this is a very important... This is one of the things where...
I'm messing around. Go ahead.
This is where I was personally able to... deal with being bullied in a good way, and I actually was able to make something positive of it. Not everybody can do that, but I was able to do that. So I was about 14, and I was getting bullied, and I was a new kid, and I just happened to have a neighbor that had an old Billard barbell set. And I think, Jim, that was your first barbell set, wasn't it?
I did have that because I had the pamphlet we were talking about.
Yeah. So I got that set, and I'll tell you, it was that was 14 years old, and I was just on fire from then. And I started reading Muscle and Fitness. We moved out to a farm, and I actually built a bench press out of 2x4s.
Wow!
So I designed it and wrote it all out, took the measurements, and my dad took me down to the hardware store, got me the lumber, got me the hardware, and came back and helped me put that together. So after that, man, it was on. I was in my room 4 hours a day just hitting it as hard as I could. And I thought about being bullied the whole time. And I mean, the energy and the mental focus that will give you is crazy.
Yeah. That's a lot like the Henry Rollins article,
Yeah.
The Iron. Have you read that?
Uh-uh.
It's the best article he's ever written. And it was about how he was in high school or junior high or prep school, whatever. I know, Marty, you're more familiar with that, but this guy, Mr. Peterman or Pepperman or whatever, was a Vietnam vet, and he used to punch Rollins in the stomach when he went by, or in the chest or something like that. And this guy was a wrestler and a lifter, and I guess Henry said something about, I'd like to be as big as strong as you. So he gave him he gave him a routine. I'm sure I'm getting some of this wrong, but he wouldn't let Henry look in the mirror for like 6 or 7 weeks or something like that. that morning of the 6th week, take your shirt off and look at yourself in the mirror. And Henry was like, you know, the next time that he saw Mr. Peterman, he punched him and he could stand it, he could take it.
When he took his shirt off, did he have tattoos?
Not back then.
It's sort of like, and there's a lot of, you know, think about it, man.
He went to the same prep school that Stacy did.
No, I know, your wife. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Bullis.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Which is very moneyed.
Yeah.
But so that's the way that I dealt with my situation. Yeah. And actually, it was funny because as I got bigger and stronger, these bullies, and some of them were on the football team, and they used to call me names and all this stuff. As I got bigger and stronger and more on their level, all of a sudden they wanted to be friends. They wanted to be pals. And, you know, in my mind, I was like, hey, what I'm doing is working. This is not, now I didn't become a bully back or anything. It was just enough for me to start getting bigger and stronger than they were, and that's just instantly solved the problem. Missed opportunity. Yeah, right. No, I'm not that way, but that's how I dealt with mine. And from there, you know, when you start really making the gains and seeing the muscle pack on, and you know, we talk about it all the time, when you start lifting weights, the gains are crazy no matter what you do. So I was doing way too much and didn't have enough weight and all that, but I still made crazy gains. But as I saw my physique change and my strength levels change, it just propelled me. I always talk about forged passion. You know, it was forging my passion to go forward.
Well, it gave you confidence, man.
And it was a huge confidence builder. And by nature, I was a real shy kid. So it was an unbelievable thing for me. So I really advise that, you know, weightlifting is such a good thing for high school kids to do and get into. It's a very healthy thing.
Yeah. I mean, it was, you know, I started loving it like a sickness, man. I had just stopped paying attention in class. I would just bring in magazines. I bring in Powerlifting US. I would just read those during class. It's done. I just want to
get me started.
I love lifting. I couldn't wait to get in my basement after school, man. And I'd be dragging people in there.
It was unbelievable. I mean, I remember one time, you know, we lived out on the farm in Maryland. My dad was a feed salesman for Purina, and he knew all these farmers. And I remember that one of them needed help in the milking parlor one day after school for like a week. And I thought, Jesus, this is going to take a whole week of my lifting out. And I was just pissed and upset. And, oh, my God, what's going to happen? I can't lift weights for a week. And you know, that's how bad it gets. You know, but that's how I got started. Marty, what was your spark? How did you get started?
Well, some boys are born alpha.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, Jimmy, am I lying?
No, I like it. I'm just
saying. And it's just like, you know, I grew up in a womanless environment. As my wife says, I was raised by wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran wild right from the get-go, right? And just, if you read, I'm sure you boys have read Camille Paglia, and if you have, she identifies, when she talks about, there's a certain classical warrior archetype that goes back to Grecian times. And a certain type of males have always worshipped the warrior fighter archetype, whether it's actual fighting, it could be sports, competition, contact, and there's always been a certain segment of the male population that's just naturally gravitated toward that. I was naturally taken with comic books, superheroes, right? I love the physiques in the comic books, Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, you know, all of them. They had these great bodies. And it was like, then the next thing is, well, how do you get that? Oh, look at these little jazzy little ads, the Charles Atlas ads that were in the little 25-cent comic books. And what was he was advertising a method. So then it's like, oh, there's a method to get that body, and that one thing led to another. And I was reading the muscle magazines by the time I was 12, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's about that age, right?
Once you get into the muscle magazines, you're hooked. You look forward to it every month. Every month it'd be Muscle Builder, Strength and Health, Iron Man. I think there was a second Leader magazine, All American Athlete.
Hey, wasn't that like Christmas every month?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Marty,
got you fired up again, right?
Did you have a newsstand near you?
Yeah. My dad would take us. My dad was a World War II veteran, and he'd take us to a newsstand owned by a World War I veteran.
Wow.
Every Sunday after church, right? We go to church, and then after church, he'd drive, in his '56 Ford, and he'd go in and he'd talk to Alex, and they'd talk for an hour or so, and we'd just sit on the floor and read all the comics for free. We didn't have to buy them; we could just read them. So you'd read them and put them back and move on. Then over the years, I started looking at the muscle magazines because he carried those too, and that's when I got hooked. It was like you'd see a picture of, I don't know, 62. I probably started looking at him. I'm 12 years old. Who was big then? Well, Grimmick for sure, right? John Grimmick.
Yeah.
Clancy Ross. Steve Reeves. Steve was a little ahead. Reg Park and Bill Pearl would have been looking really good in '62.
Yeah.
I like those big guy physiques. That to me was more superheroish.
Well, you know where my dad used to take me? He used to take me to Dynamo Barbell.
Ooh.
In College Park, and I'd run upstairs. He'd wait in the car. I'd run upstairs, go get the latest Muscle and Fitness or whatever was up there, maybe Strength and Health. And they were the only place around that sold USA.
Wow.
Nope. Now, was that a gym?
Sometimes I'd go and it wouldn't be the new issue. I'd be heartbroken. I mean, it was a big deal, man. I remember every magazine. I used to study those articles.
Yes.
God almighty.
Hey, Jim, was that a gym that you used to go to? Dynamo Barbell?
Well, it was it was a hardcore gym.
Hardcore place, baby.
Yeah, so it was a scuba diving place, and it was also a
weightlifting
gym. I remember I went there, so I used to do this. So I was pretty shy as a kid, but when it came to weightlifting, I didn't care. So I remember a friend of mine, I think I was in ninth grade. Somehow I got to Dynamo, and I just sat there and watched these guys lift and asked them questions. And I would do the same wherever I went. I would just be like, what kind of routine are you doing? And the weightlifter laughed at the bodybuilders.
What are you eating? Yeah.
And all this, but that's how you learn. You don't just, and it's not easy. See, you're not sitting there on the internet and going, oh, I can look up any fucking thing I want and get that instant gratification. No, you have to suffer a little bit. Then you learn it. Then you appreciate it.
I call it today the curse of too many choices.
Yeah, and you got all these choices, and which way do you go? But that's right, man.
We had very few choices back in the day, but damn, we had some good stuff. Yeah. We had all the solid weightlifting information from the Strength and Health guys. We had the old school bodybuilder stuff from the Weider guys. We had very good, very solid information. It didn't become all inflated like later in the 70s. It got all exaggerated and inflated, but it was still pretty pure at that time.
What age did you guys start going to the gym?
I didn't go to a gym. I trained at home.
So you trained in the basement?
Yeah.
How about you, Jim?
Basement all through high school. I mean, I would do one workout at school because we had a gym, and then
we did too.
Go to my girlfriend's basement, and we had everything down there, and that's where we'd meet, me and Louie and Carlo, and we'd have our workouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did an article on that. We got that up on the site.
Yeah.
What's her name? Sally?
In the article, it was Kathy or Sally, but I didn't use her real name.
Of course not. Yeah, I didn't get I worked out on the farm there for a few years in Maryland and did that, and then I moved back to California and then signed up at a local gym, and man, it was on from there. But I mean, just like you said, You just ask questions, and my thing was gaining weight because I was a skinny kid, and I would ask these bodybuilders, how do you gain weight? I remember one guy, and he's just ripped to shreds, had a beautiful physique, and I asked him, I said, I want to gain weight. He says, go to In-N-Out twice a day. So that's what I started doing, and I think I gained like 20 or 30 pounds over the summer.
Yeah, and that's high calories.
Yeah, Danny Wobler, when he was moving up from 220 to 242, he got a job at one of the first McDonald's, right? So he would eat 26 Big Macs a day.
Wow.
And I asked him, I said,
that's crazy.
I said, Danny, why 26? Why not 25? Why not 27? He said, 26 really seems to work, Marty.
This is a crazy sport, man.
One last too skinny, one more is too fat. Yeah.
What? So
by the way, Danny was the first man to deadlift 900. He deadlifted 900 in 1980, way before anybody else pulled it. He only weighed 265 at the time, and the day he pulled 900, he also had squatted 960.
Whoa, man! Nobody ever talks about him.
Oh yeah, he squatted 960, bench 400, and then he deadlifted 900.
Is he still around or what?
Yeah, he's around. Danny's around.
Marty wrote a great article on him. It's on our site if you ever want to check it out.
It was easy.
I think you called it Dan Wobler, the power lifter you've never heard of, or something.
Yeah, the greatest lifter you never heard of. But anyway, getting back to the passion thing, I think it's inherent in certain males, and I think there's a competitive spirit. I tell you, the whole thing is dependent upon actual, factual, tangible results.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to get results, and I think the kids today play around too much with the diet and the nutrition and the supplements and all that, and because of that, they never get the kind of sensational gains that we used to eat back in the days of nutritional ignorance, when we would just take the calories in, take the size, and if it was an unacceptable amount of body fat, well, we just had to do more sports. Right, that's how we burned it off, because we played football, we played baseball, right? We ran track, we did it all. In fact, that's how I first got started weight training, because I wanted to improve as an athlete. Right. Football players specifically.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So let's talk about how we expanded. Now we found at an early age we had this passion for the weights and lifting heavy and all that. How did
transforming
we kind of increase that over time and kind of weave it into our lives? Like, for example, like I was saying, as I started to morph my body, I was just hooked, and I knew I was always going to be doing this. This is always going to be part of who I was. I couldn't get enough. And when I turned like 25 or 26, that was like my peak in weightlifting, and I invented this compact dumbbell system, right? It was something I needed in the gym for my personal lifting. But then shortly thereafter, I was able to start my company in '97, in which I was able to expand this passion for weightlifting to a whole new level. It also gave me an opportunity to kind of help others, I guess, fuel their passion and achieve their fitness goals, and help them with the equipment and do all that. So from my passion, as I started from a young boy lifting weights and seeing the results, I was able to actually now turn it into a company and a living. Marty, you went on to you did many things. I mean, you competed, you've been a writer for years and years and years. You've been a coach for many years. You coach some of the best in the world.
I'm a good cook.
So that's how you expanded. I mean,
I'm a good cook.
And you're a good cook. And then Jim,
I've got no wait.
Marty didn't get to go.
Come on, Mike. Yeah, I mean, I've got a newfound passion that I've been sharing some of the photos with you boys. My newfound passion for smoked meat.
Yeah.
Have you got any of my meat porn photos?
You still haven't put me on the list.
Yeah, you didn't send me any, but I've been doing the same thing. I love that stuff.
I got this thing. I counted it up. I got this thing 2 weeks ago, and in 2 weeks, I've smoked 3 racks of ribs, 4 chickens, a shoulder of lamb, 2 6-pound rib roast. That's all within 14 days, and I'm the only one eating it.
Yeah, man. We need
So I'm on that, flaxseed and beer. What do you think?
That's perfect.
It's great.
You ought to write a book about it.
I've lost 6 pounds.
Just doing that? That's great.
Well,
man.
it's taken all the carb. It's taken all the carbs out of my diet.
Well,
except the beer. Yeah, except the beer. But I don't drink that much. I keep it to less than 6. Well, maybe 6.
Yeah, but Marty, they're tall boys.
No. I've cut. I'm doing better. In fact, I might get some after we get off here. But getting back to this passion thing, I think that the thing that you got to get is you got to get results. Results refire enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is synonymous with passion. Yeah. Enthusiasm, right? And that's what refuels the effort, and that's finite. You know, it's regenerating, right? But you're transforming your physique, and both you guys successfully transformed your physiques. While you were telling your story, JP, about your transformation from skinniness, I was thinking, well, you sure figured that one out, didn't you?
Yeah, when I started, I was probably 135, 40 pounds.
Well, you almost tripled your body weight, didn't you?
No, not triple. No, Jim tripled his. No, I've been as high as about 3. I just weighed myself this morning.
Okay, that 300 pounds, that's a long ways from 130.
Yeah, I was 290. But, naturally I was a skinny kid, and it was,
well, you're big bone. You got that frame for it. I told him, Jim, I said, if I had met him with that frame when he was 12 years old, he'd be a 6-time world champion retired by now.
Well, he's got wide clavicles too.
Oh, and the big 8.5-inch wrists. It'd be just so easy. Just, kid, do what I tell you. Don't talk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably could have saved me.
Obviously, he had the eating thing down.
Yeah.
But he probably could have saved me from my back problems.
We just have to take you up to 400. Oh my God, you would have ruled the world. Oh my God.
You know what? I've been as heavy as like 305, right?
No.
And I told you guys, I started getting sleep apnea with that.
Well,
400, you didn't.
You don't care about that. You want to be a world champion, kid?
Yeah, you want to be a world champion? Smoke 10 pounds of meat a day.
Not?
Yeah, you only got to be that weight for a few years, man.
That's what George Hector said when he was weighing 360. I was interviewing him. I was all excited. He's at his biggest. He's winning the world championship, setting world records. Second guy to total 2,400. Yeah, second man to total 2,400. So I said, George, how is it to be on top of the world? He goes, it sucks. He said, other than 2 days a year, the national championships and the world championships, this sucks. He used to drink a half a gallon of milk and eat an entire pack of Oreo cookies after every workout.
Oh, man.
How big was he? Wasn't he? He was a
360, 5'10". He was drinking 2 gallons of whole milk a day.
Was he fat?
He was tight. Right? I mean, he was extended. He was definitely, but he wasn't like sumo fat. No. Then he reduced down to 242, and I think he could have placed in the Olympia. He looked so damn good.
Well, he's a Maryland guy, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was up there from Havre de Grace.
That's right. So Starr and he used to train.
Yeah, he was Starr's number. You know how certain people from Texas talk about Starr being their trainer, he really was George's trainer.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And
they trained in a shed, Hopkins shed or something.
That's exactly right. And George was a legitimate national and world champion. He used to do some crazy stuff. George used to train by himself, so he used to do he would squat like 745 for 8, and then squat 950 at the meet. Right?
Wow.
Crazy stuff. He said, well, I said, I don't feel confident going any heavier than that. I said, what do you do if you miss? He said, I just dump it off my back.
Oh my
God. He said, I don't have anybody to train with up here. So anyway, I don't want to get too far off topic, but these guys have that passion. We have that passion. And also it's tied into this whole thing. We're transforming ourselves.
Jim, what did you do with your passion?
Well, I made a career out of it.
Right.
I became a strength coach. And what I was just thinking about was everything that I pushed to the forefront of my life, like football, and I was a college football coach also. It was always based around lifting. The day always had to have a time when I always had to get my lifting in, it was still very important to me no matter what. Even when I was pushing other things, I never said, oh, I'll get back. Everybody says, oh, I got to get back into it. I never understood that. And why would you ever get out of it? You know what I mean?
Let me just say something about that. You're exactly right. Can you imagine, and I've never took a break either. I've been, I'm 47 now. I've been lifting since I'm 14. Never stopped except for one time, I broke my hand. I had a cast, but I still found ways of doing something. Can you imagine putting in 5, 10, 20 years and then stopping for 6 months or a year and losing just so much of that hard work? I never got that either.
No, I know. And Marty and I talk about this all the time, is that is our form, or I know it's my form of meditation, of escape, of reducing any bad feelings that I'm feeling. When I get done with the workout, I don't give a crap about anything, and everything is in order in my brain. Oh, I need to take care of that. Don't worry about that. Take care of that. That kind of thing. It's amazing.
It's legal violence.
Jim and I have a limited capacity for human contact.
Yeah.
So because of that, intense training takes that edge off us.
Right.
It's not good for us to get out into society with that edge still on, because it's the slightest thing can set you off. So you take that edge off, right?
That's what I mean.
It resets, it centers you psychologically.
That's right, centers you.
You go in and you alleviate your frustrations, I guess. You
do. You crush it right out of yourself.
Something may have pissed you off that day or whatever. You go in, bang out some squats, man. You feel a lot better after.
You ain't thinking about it.
But it's funny. It's actually the doing of the exercises, the performing of the exercise, also that takes me somewhere very deep sometimes that I can't tap into unless I'm doing, unless I'm training like that.
Right. Unless it's almost a life or death situation.
Yeah, I can literally, I think, will myself into like a zone.
You can.
Training every day. I really think
it is an altered state that actually has a parallel in meditation. In if you go to Taoism, right, or you go to some of the more sophisticated versions of Buddhism, and they have these differing levels of meditation, and what you describe is I know exactly what you're talking about. It's primarily a wordless state, and it's induced only when you pass a certain intensity threshold. Then there's a hormonal release. It's like this hormonal tsunami, and you have endorphins and serotonin and adrenaline. All these hormones are released into your system. Normal people don't get that because they never trained intense enough to cross that hormonal threshold. They don't know what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, we do. We can access that state within one set.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, even like lateral,
yes.
So a lot of these exercises where I don't need like balance, like a squat or something like that. Close my eyes. I close my eyes during all these sets, man.
But note how it's a non-verbal state.
Oh, no question.
Well, that's everything.
Yeah. I was doing this
If
squat.
you are holding a conversation with yourself while you are lifting, you ain't doing it.
I think it has a lot to do with getting strong or not getting strong. And then the super guys that are strong and people are like, yeah, but they're not bright people. Yeah, but they don't have to be bright in everything else to be bright in this. They know how to get there. They know where their mind needs to be.
Yeah, you know? They're oxes.
But
oxes know how to pull stuff.
Right.
That mental state, that mental discipline, when you're able to achieve that, and just like Marty said, you know, people guys that aren't doing this type of weightlifting or whatever, that don't quite understand what we're talking about, when you have that, when you have something to remember, to grab a hold of, to experience, you can kind of, it helps you in other areas of your life too. Like as a business owner, I have to work long hours, and I'll tell you, I work long hours during the day, 14, 16-hour days consistently, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. And I'll tell you, when you're ready to tap out, sometimes you just think back to your workout and how you got that extra rep and all that, and it helps fuel you in other areas of your life, I think, from what I've experienced.
Yeah. Usually when I get to that place, I usually go take a nap.
Well, you're retired, that's why.
No, I'm not retired.
Oh,
I'm extremely active.
I mean, he's retired from the world.
Yes, I've retired from society, as a good Taoist would say.
Yes, that's right.
But as you are too, Jim.
That's right, buddy.
And again, you know, we know how to fill our time.
Writing is definitely a profession.
Well, we're able to roll from one creative task to another.
Yeah.
And the creative tasks are the ones where you become absorbed. And when you become absorbed, you lose your sense of self. And if you go from one creative task to the next, to me, that's a perfect day.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, you know, I was going to say earlier, and I think Tom Platz touches on this a lot, you're almost an artist or you're a creator. JP was touching on that as far as when you're a lifter. But I got to think, man, I really do think that there's some deep thinkers in our best lifters, whether they're, you know, power lifters, whatever. People that can design programs or, you know, do it for others. That's an art, man. And that's something where that passion and feeling for that you have and somebody else may not. And a lot of problems is like people don't think that's worthy. But man, it's everything. It's everything, especially to us, because that is the passion. But it makes such a difference, and you almost are like, why aren't more people doing this? And are there enough people that are almost special enough to do this? You know, like have it inside of them.
Jim, you know what the definition of science is? It's being able to replicate results.
Right.
So. If it's one thing, first of all, if you have to be able to trigger a radical physical transformation in yourself, that in and of itself is miraculous. But once you're also able to use the strategies that you've learned for you, and you're able to consistently obtain radical physical transformations for others, then you're onto something. And I know that you've made a career of that. I can do that. That is no problem. It is no problem at all for us to get radical physical results for any human on the face of the earth, but they need to do what it is we ask them to do.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the problem, because most are either unable or unwilling.
Unwilling, yeah. That's right. That's right. Really right.
I mean, it's not that we're geniuses. I mean, this knowledge is out there.
No, but I think that everybody has some special qualities, and I think getting it across to the person and knowing how to get across to the person is maybe a special quality for us. Then, you know, I can't fucking add 1 + 1, but I can do that kind of stuff. You know,
you know where that applies in my industry especially. Okay, so we manufacture and distribute fitness equipment, and we've done it for a long time. And when I got into this, when I started my company back in 96, 97, I used to go around, I invented this dumbbell system. So I used to go around, I had no contacts in the industry. I'd never worked for a retail store. I was a truck driver at the time. So I had these prototypes and stuff, and I used to go from store to store. Now, I was at my prime. I was lean. I was a lean 285, 290. This is at my prime. My strength was peaked. My muscularity was peaked and all that. And I would just walk into these stores and go, check this out. And I always felt that in my industry, you need to look like you know what the hell you're talking about. That you look like you use the equipment that you're selling or making. And I was always it always amazed me. I go to these trade shows every year, and the people selling fitness equipment have never used it. They couldn't tell you how to use it or what it feels like or what muscle it just really fires and all that. You can't translate that to the customer. So
next year they'll be selling Chevys.
Well, exactly, because it's a commodity for them.
Exactly. They're just salesmen.
But in my business, if you have that passion, that translates to the customer. And if I'm the customer, I much rather have a guy on the phone that knows what he's talking about, that can explain the feeling of the machine and how he's used it in the past or whatever, rather than, hey, here's this, barbell, here's the price, and do you want to buy it or not? Well, there's a lot more to it than that. And when you can really communicate your passion, I think that's why I wanted to have this conversation today, because to me, in my industry anyway, and a lot of other industries too, passion just makes the difference. Whether you're successful, you can be successful without as much passion as we have, obviously. But when you have a strong level of passion, it just makes a difference. You've got like a glow around you. People sense that, they pick it up. And I just really think that if you're going to do something, try to do something in life that really you're passionate about, because it just makes such a difference.
Think about the guys when we go train special forces guys. Think about the guys we take, and when they speak about training and programming or kettlebells, whatever. I mean, it's coming out of their pores, man. You can see when Brett Graham starts talking, he loves lifting, man. I mean, he is into everything about it, and he still wants to learn too. And I love learning new stuff about it. When you have a passion, you're not this closed off person either.
Right.
You're always eager to learn.
You're either a scientist or a fundamentalist. And if you're a scientist, you're always open. And when somebody destroys your precious orthodoxies, you're happy. But if you're a fundamentalist, you're defending a fixed position.
Always, right? Always defend.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you're either a scientist or a fundamentalist, and the fundamentalist, typically there's a financial motive involved, whereas a scientist is just like, we go where progress leads us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. I think other ways that my passion for fitness has helped me in life is the discipline. I kind of touched on it a little bit before, but the discipline, back in high school when I was, started lifting real serious. I mean, where were we on Friday nights? Probably you guys were at the gym too, just like I was.
Not me. I was with cheerleaders.
Oh. Well.
You knew he was going to go opposite of you.
We knew you were going to go the other way.
That's where I was. I mean, you asked, I told you. Somebody had to take him out, right?
For me, it's just the discipline. And I didn't, Marty, you talk about being raised by wolves. I was raised by a single mother, and I had lived with a sister, so I had kind of the opposite. I needed discipline, and I didn't really have a dad at home to give me the young man discipline. So I kind of fell into weightlifting, and I think that kind of really helped with that situation with me.
No doubt.
And helped me later on in life, now as a business owner and as a parent, and been married for many, many years. It just, you find all these things where it's your roots of weightlifting that are really helping you in these other areas. So I think that's always been interesting to me. Passion's also one of the greatest motivators. I mean, I kind of touched on this too, but I mean, the way it can fuel the mind and the body to do things you never dreamed were possible. It can be really harnessed to achieve great things. And once you refine it, really learn it, you can, just like we're talking about, you can apply it to other areas of your life, such as your occupation, relationships, parenting, helping others, things like that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Indeed.
What, if we could recommend to youngsters about following their passion in life, what would we tell youngsters that might be listening to this? I would say embrace your passion. Let it teach you things about yourself that maybe you would have otherwise never known. Your passion is really the fabric of who you are. Like we're explaining, I mean, that's who we started with this passion when we were young, that we found out who we were at that young age, and we're able to nurture that and turn that into something. And I'll tell you, if you can follow your passion in life, I mean, it's one of the most rewarding things ever. If you can grow your passion into something that'll support your the lifestyle that you want, then I think you're ahead of 99% of the population.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the ideal. Just depends, if you can make a living out of your passion. But I think and I thought about this before when I, was between coaching jobs, and you're always moving. Why don't I just get a job at UPS or get a job, 9 to 5, where I don't have to think about anything, and that'll support my passion. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't figure out how to make enough money, being a strength coach back then, or a football coach and all that to really do what I wanted to do. So, but, I was fortunate that I didn't have to go that way. But I think you can do both. You just have to be able to support it.
Right. Yeah, you're right, because not every passion, bucket or whatever is going to necessarily support the lifestyle you want. So you're right. Sometimes you have to do half your passion and half something else like UPS or whatever. But we were just fortunate to be able to really have multiple things. I mean, Marty, you've done the writing, the coaching, the everything. Jim, you're kind of doing the same thing. I'm doing something else. But we got lucky. We're very fortunate with that. So, hopefully a lot of other people are out there are embracing their passion. I think it's just such an important thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's for sure. But again, you've got to be able to obtain some sort of satisfaction on a continual basis from it. If you don't get that, you're going to run out of your passion.
Right.
That's right.
So you can't be fooling yourself. It's not an act of will. It's not being disciplined. Being disciplined is, as people ask me, they say, well, how can you get up at 3:30 every morning to write? It has nothing to do with discipline. I get up at 3:30 every morning to write because I'm enthused and I jump up and I want to write.
Right.
3:30? You're sleeping in, dude. What's up with that?
Actually, I've actually backed off from that a little bit. But my point being is that I'm fired up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I get up. And again, with the training, everybody says, oh, you're so disciplined in your training. It's like, no, I'm not. I do it because it gets me off.
You know what?
That's what keeps us coming back. There's this hormonal thing.
Exactly. And you've told me so many times how you're, what are you, 68, 67?
No, I'm 39. I'm over 39.
This is your 25th anniversary of your 39th birthday, like Reagan used to say. But you've told me more than once that you're fired up, man. You can't wait to get going. And I thought, man, that is that is something to behold. And I hope that when I'm your age, I can roll out of bed and be fired up about something and get at it. So that's a great thing.
I doubt
you doubt it?
Yeah.
You don't know me. I could do it.
You got to come back here and live in the country.
I miss the country.
We can go pick eggs from the hen house together.
Yes, we could. All right. Is that all we want to say about passion? I think we've established we're passionate guys about weightlifting and life and
beer,
doing well, and low carb diets with the exception of beer.
Smoked meat.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to say hello to somebody. Marty and I have a friend who listens to this. You just missed him last time.
Somebody listens?
Yeah. Marty, our boy Justin, the Navy superstar pilot.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
They must be so bored down there if they're listening to us.
Those are the guys we want to listen to this.
Don't fall asleep and crash while you're
listening to us. But man, he's out there training. He's training, for the Navy, but he's also doing his training too. So keep after it, man.
Again, look at him.
Good man. Thank you.
You can tell. I mean, this is they're getting results, but then again, they're getting the solid information from you, but they're putting it into action. That's why we love those guys.
Yeah, that's right.
They actually do what it is that we suggest, and then lo and behold, they get results, and everyone says, "Oh, you're geniuses." It's like, no, we're not. This is stuff we were told by our mentors.
He sent me a picture. He sent me a picture of his knuckles. After he was hitting a heavy bag with no gloves, cut up and everything. Yeah. Definitely one of us.
Hey, like I said, some guys are born alpha.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Check out Marty's weekly column and podcast, Raw with Marty Gallagher, at ironcompany.com. Just go up to the top of the site where it says articles. Click that button. That's also where you can find Jim Steele's articles. Marty and Jim are also available for online training, seminars. You can reach Marty by going to our athletes page on Iron Company, and you can just send us an email if you want to get a hold of Jim. Also pick up Marty's book, Purposeful Primitive.
Absolutely.
It's on our website as well. It's one of the greatest books of all time, right, Marty?
Absolutely. That's Jim, would you second that emotion?
Yes, all the way, brother.
And then check out Iron Company for all your fitness equipment and gym flooring needs. We've got tons of great equipment on there. If you need rubber flooring, if you need barbells, if you need bumper plates, anything, we've got it all.
I'm sorry, could I mention one other thing? Somebody else who's listening is that we want to mention that Chuck Deluxe is listening to us right now in Cyprus.
Nice, brother.
And myself and old Jim here.
So we know we got 2 listeners, y'all.
So we got 2. So we're making some progress here.
As you know, Chuck is a world tanning champion, so we're expecting him to come back, and he's going to be nothing but teeth that gleam like baseballs and bright eyeballs, and the rest of them, he's going to look like a brown berry. You haven't seen him when he's tanned up. Oh, it's freaky. He looks like he's been spray tanned at a bodybuilding event.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it.
Well,
he's going to be over there for like a month.
Really?
Oh yeah, he said he moved right in.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Well, stay safe over there, Chuck Deluxe.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, like I said, if you want to, we've got a growing
from the easy gainers.
Yeah, we've got a growing index of Jim Steele articles on our website. Just like I said, go to articles at the top of our page, click on that, and use the drop down to find Jim Steele. Click on there, and you'll see his articles. And then he's also got a website called bassbarbell.com. You want to say something about that real quick, Jim?
I just got a bunch of columns up there about training, about life, about hunting, fishing, fighting, all kind of stuff. It's just a bunch of different columns I've done over the years.
Good deal. Everybody check that out. And that's it. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.